the teaser, the pleaser, the rocker, the shocker, the showstopper. This Arc Warlock has it all. Whether you're a Destiny 2 vet or you're a free-to-play noob, this build wrecks, buddy! You'll be getting your super back faster than you can say minivan. And nearly infinite grenade throwing, you'll have unlimited automated arc turrets destroying everything on the field. Let's get into the build, buddy! Alrighty, gentlemen, let's take a look at the build. So run an Arc Stormcaller. I got the Warlock! Hiya! Alright, I am running Chaos Reach. I do like this super a little bit better for ranged enemies, and you get it back. It's got a faster cooldown. Storm Trance is great and all, but this seems like it does a little bit better performance with the build that I've got going on here. So I do enjoy running Healing Rift, right? This is going to be a huge sustain factor, especially in higher end content. You pop the Rift behind cover, get some healing. It also will tie into our aspect Arc Soul, where when we use the Rift, we'll get a little buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, guy. He'll show up on a shoulder, and he will shoot enemies that are within range. So I think the range is like 15. So enemies too far away won't hit, but up close, it will automatically target it. And there's nothing more that I like a game that plays itself. So I'm going to be throwing down lots of turrets, and our other turret will be Ionic Sentry. So between the Arc Buddy and then the Ionic Sentry, we can have turrets up all over the field, just destroying ads and keeping us alive. If you want to take a look at the grenade, or excuse me, at the melee, I'm using Ball Lightning. I like a little bit of range for the melee. There is some debate on whether the Chain Lightning, it's closer, but you get 2 charges. You can jolt targets, but I like this for safety, for higher tiered content. And then Flashbang. This is also going to add with higher tiered content. You throw down the Flashbang grenade and it blinds enemies. Basically crowd controlling them for, I don't know, is it 7 to 10 seconds? It also has a nice cooldown, so the base cooldown is a little over 2 minutes. Out of all the other grenades, I think Flux is lower, but you can blow yourself up with that one. So running the Flashbang. Like I said before, the aspects, Arc Soul and Ionic Sentry, going to help give ourselves some automated battle power. And then everything is scaled with the grenade stat. As for Fragments, I do like running Spark of Resistance. When you're surrounded, which means 3 enemies within a 15-meter radius, you will take 25% less damage, so that's huge. Our arc grenades are going to jolt targets, which mean our Sentry is also going to jolt targets, so we'll be applying debuffs all over the place, making little Ionic Traces. And those traces will refill our class ability, our ability energies. And then I'm running Spark of Ions, so when we defeat jolted targets, we get bolt traces. And then Spark of Discharge, so our arc final weapon blows have a chance to create Ionic Traces. So these traces are just going to stack. It's just going to keep compounding all of the ability regen and the healing and stuff we're getting. So I like that. And then running arc weapons definitely helps. Okie dokie. So let's take a look at the armor set, right? So, I'm going to be running Geomag Stabilizers since we are running Chaos Reach. Just more frequent Chaos Reach, and it extends its duration. You can collect these Ionic Traces we're making from all over the place to just get more super. So really nice. And then there's an argument to be made for the armor set bonus, right? Lumio Potent really works well with the Ionic Trace build, so the 4-piece final blows with jolt or against jolted combatants create more traces. There's no cooldown on this, so you just get more Ionic Traces. But this piece doesn't have a damage reduction set in, so I notice it really destroys on content where you're negative 30 power level, like lost sectors and stuff. It'll just shred things. But it kind of falls off on harder difficulty, so I am running Exodus down, which gives you, if you spend 3 armor charges, that's basically a 30% damage reduction, so it is nice in a little harder content where enemies hit harder, a little more survivability. For the mods, say augments, not close enough. Running double special finder and then a harmonic siphon, which I'm running the Coldheart as a main weapon. So I want to try to keep my special as filled as possible. Fill me up, daddy. What? Okay. And then for the gloves, I do like a kind of brain off situation. So grenade kickstart will activate the Exodus down armor. So as you're throwing grenades, you're going to automatically activate your damage reduction. And then just when we do damage with a grenade, get some class ability back. So bolstering detonation, and then firepower for orbs when we get grenade kills. We're going to be spamming grenades. Got some resistances on the chest piece. And then the boots with the fur. Fergalicious, it's bananas. A little bit of arc weapon surge since I'm using the machine gun and the trace rifle. Scavenger so I can keep my ammo reserves topped up. And then orbs restoration, so this just goes to whenever I pick up an orb, it goes to the least charged ability. And then finally on the class bond, right, it's the standard time dilation, so those surges have a longer duration. I will pick up orbs when I use my rift, and then picking up, then using my class ability reduces my grenade. So back to back on the hands and the feet, you use the grenade, you get class ability, and then you use your class ability to get grenade, so it kind of feeds back into itself. Okay, for the weapons, right, inbound surveillance. So on my builds, I do like to run, one of each type. So a barrier, an unstop, and an overload. So I'm running the inbound surveillance for my unstoppable scout rifle. And Zavala does have it this week. So if you're wanting to go in and grab yourself a decent roll, grab it from him. But the god rolls you're looking for are going to be stopping power and explosive payload. So stopping power works when the target is under 33%, you progressively do more damage. So starting at, a third health bar, it's 7%. And then as the enemy health bar gets lower, it escalates to 15%. So that last third of the health bar does more damage. And then explosive payload. Somebody please explain to me how this works, but I think it basically works out to a consistent 15 to 30% damage increase. Explosive payload, you've got two abilities. So it's between the body shot gets an extra 30% damage. Your bullet splits into two pieces. One piece where it's the bullet, and then two pieces where it's the detonation. The body shot damage takes 30% increase, and then the crit gets an additional 15% increase or something. Anyway, I think it works out, so it's basically a full-time damage perk. So widely considered one of the best traits on a gun to have. So running both of those. And then I do like high stability on the gun, so it doesn't bounce around. So I like to run stability magazines and barrels and stuff on it to get high stability. The origin trait, nail, meat, hammers, decent for destroying shields, and then it gives you additional ammo progress. So if I do run out of both heavy and special weapon, this will help, get bricks back on the field. What kind of bricks? Ask Tony Montana. And then for the exotic trace rifle, right, running the Coldheart, as I said before. And this will help with extra Ionic Traces. So periodically generates Ionic Traces when it's in a high damage state. I need more traces, pal! So we're really getting a lot of stuff to come on us. Traces is what I'm talking about, buddy. And then get the catalyst. You can get up to 200 in the magazine, and it will refill as you run. So that's pretty nice. And then I do like the 21 Delirium, buddy. So this is got from Gambit. And Reconstruction Gear Shift is real nice. So Gear Shift is great. It's a 35% damage boost when you're amplified, and we're always amplified. And then you can get up to a double capacity magazine. So you get 160 bullets in the mag, and just dump it. Dump the mag. And this is, like I said, gotten from Gambit. So grab it from Gambit. Okay. And then finally, the Tablet of Ruin is going to be what we're going with. So this is going to tie in well. Running Dielectric, so arc debuff targets grant bolt charge, And then defeating those targets give us an orb, which can be used to fuel our abilities and our weapon surges. It also heals us. So this is really nice for healing. I like running Elemental Siphon because we'll get even more traces if we're using either a kinetic or we're using the Coldheart mostly. And that'll generate little elemental pickups, so more super energy. Flashover. So when you gain bolt charge, you become amplified, and then the lightning bolts will do more damage. And since I am running a machine gun, I'll be using Hold the Line for increased reload speed, stability, and final blows. I don't really use this a whole lot. It seems like it's kind of negligible. But I do use Harsh Refraction a lot. So it says Trace Rifles do more damage to targets afflicted by elemental debuffs. So when stuff is jolted, the Trace Rifle will do 35% more damage. So exotic Trace Rifles get a 35% damage bonus, and legendary Trace Rifles get a 50% damage bonus. So this is crazy. Make sure if you're using a Trace Rifle to slap this in there. I do like Limit Break, casting your super when you're wounded or have an elemental buff, which will always be amplified, so we'll basically always have this. It increases your super damage by 30%. So just by being amplified, use your super, you get 30% extra damage. Ka-chow. And then Defibrillating Blast, stunning a champion gets bolt charge, but more importantly, damaging targets with bolt charge jolts them and heals you. So this is another healing situation. We got some big heals. Big heals on me! So between Blast and Dielectric, get lots of healing. All right, boys, that's going to be it for the build. And if this was helpful, you know, like and subscribe is always appreciated. Trying to get to 1,000. That way I can finally get pennies from AdSense. Thank you, YouTube. But until the next one, I'll see you later. Take it easy.